A family is like a forest. When you're on the outside, it seems dense. But when you're on the inside, you realize every tree has its place. The words of a popular African proverb, which bring us into this 5th episode of the Jamaican Dadz podcast. I'm Garth Williams.
I'm Alan Campbell.
And I'm Floyd Green.
And we are
Jamaican Dadz.
That's right. This program is all about providing Jamaican men with a healthy, safe, and a functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics which concern our masculinity. Now, we're all dads of varying degrees of experience, but guess what? We all have different worldviews as well. But the most important thing is that we're all brethren, don't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we're all committed to Jamaica land we love. So this podcast is a safe space for us all as men to explore the issues which are important to us. And additionally, most of the content out there about parenthood is written by women and for women, right? Nothing's wrong with that. But truth is, we have to become the change we want to see. And that's why we're here. So we've got a really good show headed your way today. Coming up later in Dad Try This, we have yet another cool life hack for fathers. This one's about, how you get dressed and stuff, protecting your clothes. And then we've also shared some basic hair care tips in Fresh to Death. Some of us have a lot of hair. Some of us don't. Dennis is not with us today. He would have been helping Marlon with the less hair side of things.
Actually, I went bald before him.
You went bald before Dennis did. All right, well, there you go. But we'll do that in Fresh to Death. In the meat of the matter this week, it's discipline and daddy, and it is the first of a two-part discussion, discipline and daddy. For this part of the discussion this week, we have Dr. Olivia Rose, but before we join with her this in this episode, we're going to fire off with the opening salvo. And if you realize, we're all wearing jerseys today. Yeah. So Floyd and Marlon are...
Red Devils, Manchester United.
Absolutely.
Glory, glory.
100%. You know that?
Yeah.
To the core. Yeah,
All right.
special edition pink.
Anytime Marshall wear the pink in the play.
Clearly, I'm a Liverpool fan, and I'm celebrating, as you would know by now, that Liverpool has won their first Premier League title, bringing their total of league titles to 19.
One.
One.
One is one.
Oh,
Most people left them on.
hold on, stick up in. Hold on. So,
Yeah.
a 13 titles don't have then?
We
don't have 20?
It's still,
all right,
it is still 12 more than you. Somebody said
We're
the
not here for
Sahara
Liverpool.
dust. Somebody said the Sahara dust the other day was Liverpool opening them league trophy, the one for Premier League.
Listen, to be honest, and everybody, if you grew up during our time, at some point in your life, you're a Liverpool fan.
Absolutely.
I was never a Liverpool fan.
You never used to watch football.
You never have
I used to
TV.
watch
You never
football,
have
but I was
TV.
never a
You never
Liverpool
have
fan.
TV.
No, but you see, when you grew up with Johnny
Not
Barnes.
because of no.
Right? Yeah, man.
I'm telling you.
Liverpool. And no, but what happened now? You are a Liverpool fan until you get sense and then you realize.
Liverpool is my
I don't say you
father's
choose.
team.
I don't say you choose team.
Liverpool is my father's
And everybody makes mistakes.
Listen.
Liverpool was Marlon's dad's team, and then here's Marlon. So,
Congrats to every Liverpool fan. Well done. To be honest, and they deserve it.
Yeah, trust me.
Yeah,
a round of applause.
And if Stevie G never dropped on him face a couple of years ago, no problem would have gotten it before.
Yeah, I mean, and there are a couple other managers who would have brought us very close. Rafa Benitez did, Graham Souness did, Brendan Rodgers, of course, with the same.
Brendan did a good job, and he's
Gerrard.
doing a very good job with Leicester right now.
Yeah. So that's what our opening salvo is really all about, our passion for sports as men and how it influences our family interaction. You both are huge football fans. When it comes to club football, it's Manchester United. Are there any other sports that you both are really into?
Basketball to some degree.
Do you have a team that you support?
Well, I'm on a hiatus from the Lakers until LeBron leaves. I'm on a Lakers hiatus until LeBron leaves my team, and Cowboys for NFL still.
And you, Floyd?
I'm a full sports fan. I'm just a sports fan. I really like watching sports. American football, enjoy that. I used to enjoy basketball. I don't watch it that much anymore. right? I used to be, well, I'm a Kevin Durant fan, 100%. I'm a Kevin Durant fan, right? So, you know, wherever Kevin goes, I go. But it used to be clearly in the heyday of basketball when Michael was around, you know. I was
No, that you can say. Everybody in Jamaica was a Bulls fan.
Full-fledged basketball fan. I love cricket, unfortunately.
No, it's only unfortunate.
No,
it depends on the team.
No, it's unfortunate. It's like, you know, it's like torture. You know, like you wish you didn't love it.
Why?
So because you don't want to watch it anymore. You don't want to watch it anymore. You don't want to watch it anymore. Because you don't know which West Indies is going to show up.
Oh, like that's okay, fine.
Yeah, like you genuinely.
But do you watch like the IPL or the CPL?
Yeah, but you know, I'm a West Indies fan, to be honest.
Okay.
And I do watch the IPL and I do enjoy
And we remember the glory days.
And, you know, clearly I love going to watch cricket.
Yeah.
Right? I still believe the Mound is one of the greatest places in the world.
Oh,
So
listen,
who
watches cricket on the mound though? Who really watches cricket on the mound?
But it's just a great place.
And for folks who are listening or watching right now who may not know what the Mound is a space inside Sabina Park, which is the home of cricket in Jamaica, where on the Mound, it's all about the entertainment value that you really get. You get some cricket too.
And the free run.
Yeah.
And the free run.
And then clearly track and field is big. So I really like sports. I like gymnastics. I like watching sports.
How do you use sports?
But tell us about you.
We are
me,
trying to skip.
I'm a huge sports fan of all types. I'll watch golf.
I watch golf too.
I'll watch chess tournaments. I mean, lawn tennis, you name it.
What about tennis?
Straight across the board. I mean, I'm a
big
Djokovic,
you're a
100%
Djokovic fan.
Federer is the greatest ever, full stop.
Right.
But right now, Djokovic is. I'm a
Djokovic
big
is just amazing.
That's all like with me and Andre Agassi back in the day. I mean, he had a great, but just love.
Yeah, I was a Pete Sampras fan back in the day.
Pete, they say Pete is classic gentleman, the classic player.
Right.
Andre Agassi just knocked my head.
Well
Mad.
done.
You don't know which Andre would show up.
This is true. I mean, so obviously I'm a huge Liverpool fan. Been that way since I was a kid. My uncle lived in London, but because of Liverpool signing John Barnes, he would travel to go to watch Liverpool play, and obviously whenever they're in London playing against the London teams, he was always there. So coming to Jamaica, he would have brought jerseys and that kind of a thing. So, and then JBC
only showed Liverpool matches.
Exactly. So I mean, and I've stuck with
Sunday football was a thing,
right? But I'm a huge sports fan. I'm a massive Laker fan. I'm not excited that LeBron is there, but because I'm not a LeBron hater, I mean, I don't have anything against LeBron. He is phenomenal, and I leave it at that. I will not say how great I think he is or compare him to anyone else, but LeBron James is absolutely phenomenal. And I'm not going to make that shift my passion for the Lakers. But he won't be there. He won't be there forever.
So I'll be back to Lakers.
Yeah, there you go. But the Salvo is about our passion for sports. What do you think drives our passion for sports as men? Because you generally get the feeling that sports are really more targeted at men. Not that women's sports don't count or there's no marketing of sports to women, but generally you think of sports, it's usually a bit of a male type of a thing.
Competition?
Yeah, maybe it's competition and socialization. I think. Well, clearly there is kind of a little competitive thing that you feel like you're born with, right? And as such, you're drawn to sports.
And it's nurtured.
And
it's nurtured in men. I think.
Yeah. I think it is nurtured 100%.
Influence did your fathers have in terms of your passion for sports, and was those sports used to kind of bring you guys together?
You remember how we said that your father influenced you one way or the other, whether or not he's there or he's not?
Yeah.
My support for Manchester United is definitely influenced by my father's love for Liverpool. You understand? It was two factors that made me say, one, I was living in Manchester, right? I was living in Manchester.
Parish of Manchester.
Yeah, it's like Manchester, and a side near Manchester United. That was it. And my father used to really hate when the man Liverpool play. Like there was this hatred.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay.
My
team.
No, I think for me, Daddy, it would have been more of the subliminal. The fact that clearly when he's around, he's going to be always watching sports, right? And then you just sit down and start watch sports and
You
get to
realize,
understand it
yeah.
through him. So he's a big sporting fan. He watch everything, right? I think I took that from him 100%.
Yeah.
100%. But him don't support my team there.
Yeah, right.
9 out of 10 times. I think the
On
only team-
purpose?
No,
Oh,
I
okay.
think we just have different value system in choosing teams.
Yeah.
One of the best. You might look for some philosophical reason. I'm not trying to say, oh no, well,
Listen.
all right. Listen, so I fell in love with Manu during high school, right?
Which was Cristiano Ronaldo days.
No, you're
dad.
joking.
I wish I was that young.
That was
wish I was that-
Fergie's fledgling
Yeah,
days.
man.
That was
Wait,
Cantona.
wait, wait, high
High
school.
school.
High
Remember
school.
99 him leave.
What phase of high school?
It was Ronaldo days.
It was
not at all.
Ronaldo.
Okay.
Ronaldo
Okay.
came
Okay.
out
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Remember when
Remember?
that young?
Out here,
It was
what you said,
yeah,
exactly.
man. Cantona
Exactly.
and
You're
Solskjaer.
You're
and-
talking Solskjaer,
Yeah, man.
Cantona, you're talking
That's
Beckham and
treble.
Scholes and Giggs
Yeah, man.
and so forth.
Okay.
You're
Yeah,
talking
man. There's
Fergie's
Dwight
in-
York and
Right. Okay.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
Now, Dwight York
And
kind of got
Andy.
me interested
Andy
in
Cole.
looking at Manu a little more. But then I was like, John Barnes, Jamaica, Andy Cole, nah. You know, in my house, what happened with my dad when we were growing up, it was more about playing together, right? And he would take us on a couple of occasions to cricket, to Sabina. So
we did
so
that.
we
We did that.
so we have the igloo.
But remember,
The two cooler them, and one cooler actually don't keep anything cool. It have rice and meat and
Yes,
veg, and then the other cooler having your drinks, your water, all them things, and we'd sit in George Headley stand
That sounds
and watch
so
these
familiar.
men in white labor all day.
That sounds familiar
All
because
day.
my father is a huge cricket fan, and that's how I know that he's long suffering, because he still watches the West Indies and everything. No matter which part them I play, if at 3 o'clock in the morning, him I forget to watch it. But that's something that we used to do as a family. Travel to Sabina, food and everything, and then you have some people who are extended families in Sabina where you only see them doing cricket, you know them by them nickname, but it's like, friend, you come and food all a share and people eat out at different
I never had the
parts
Savannah
and-
experience, but
and,
cricket was TV, you know. So daddy literally when he would wake up to watch cricket, and then you know you want to see what's happening.
Right.
So yeah, but this is what I found, and what I tried with my son is to try and expose him to all sports.
Right.
Really, because I was trying to find the one that he's really good at.
So we
Right.
can make
We
some
could
money
be-
in retirement.
Yeah.
Until, yeah.
But it don't work out yet.
No, but hold on. Money can't make in a chest, you know.
No. Him a go. No man, we get the chest.
Yeah,
But
so
we
you're
mean-
looking for something else.
I mean, I signed him
Something
up
to do in
for
the
cricket.
off-season.
I signed him up for basketball. I signed him up for
Football.
track, everything. But
You
you
don't
know,
like none of them.
him no.
How
Him like
about-
basketball.
What does Judah seem inclined to? I mean, he's less
He's-
than 2. So
All right. 2 things. R3. The man either going to track.
yeah,
You ever see the little foot them?
right.
Or he's going to do some football.
Or shot put, because I see him in the
Now,
Netflix.
I was going to say our cricket, because the man fling everything in the pool.
Yeah.
The man fling everything in the pool. So, I don't know. That could be shot put, but me don't know.
Right.
But we'll never see how much bigger him get, because you know he's so big for his salary.
Right.
But the man throw everything in the pool. So I think of cricket.
I think Noelle, who's 11, that's my daughter, she's going to probably be into netball or basketball. She's tall, she's 5'1".
Mom's not
Yeah,
playing
she is,
netball. Why do I think that Danet used to play netball?
No, Donnet plays with people's feelings, not, not sports. I love you, baby, I love you.
Somebody go sleep on that couch.
Is that it? You know,
Danet
we
was
have
beg
nothing to do with it.
We no, me I beg for him. I go the out. Me.
I think that's
beg
a good
for him.
note. Yep.
Cut that out. Don't put
I know,
that
right? But it's clear that our passion for sports has come from some strong level of family interaction, and we're trying to pass it on, and we will continue to do that. Encourage your kids to play sports, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, wherever you are, please do so. All right, so that's it for the opening salvo. Going to take a break, and when we return, it's the meat of the matter, discipline and daddy. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Jamaican Dadz podcast. And if you're just joining us, I'm Garth.
I'm Marlon.
Floyd.
And we're joined today by Dr. Olivia Rose for the meat of the matter. We're talking about discipline and daddy. And that's something like is a serious, serious matter. Please remember that you can join in the conversation by using the hashtag Jamaican Dadz on Twitter. And then you can find us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at Jamaican Dadz. All right, send us an email, JamaicanDadzPodcast@gmail.com. Discipline and daddy. Dr. Olivia Rose, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Good seeing you in Leicester City, Jersey.
Yes,
We'll get
no,
there.
We're not going to get there, but
No,
yeah.
Yeah. Don't worry, man. You can't take about the championship.
All right.
And it was before Liverpool.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We left that in the previous segment. All right. What we want to get through are a few things. A definition and function of discipline and punishment in a family setting. The influence of culture and discipline. The influence of culture on discipline or punishment techniques, and gender roles for discipline. That's in this little part here, and then we have some more questions for the second part of it. But just share with us a little bit. Is there a difference between discipline and punishment? And just define them for us.
There are slight differences between discipline and punishment, but generally both of them come from a place of authority, usually administered by the person in charge, who happens to be usually the parent. So discipline is really about enforcing what should be done based on what I say or based on what is said by someone in authority, and in this case the parent. Now punishment has to do with, it includes some amount of discipline, and it says, listen, because you didn't do what I required or what I instructed, this is what is going to happen, without any form of negotiation. Consequences, on the other hand, are completely different. So consequences look at a more guided approach, helping your child to understand that there are consequences for every action. Right, and having them being able to reason out, work out, and negotiate this, I think is usually the better approach. But the thing about life, especially having children, is that, and people on a whole, is that there are really no set scripts, but there are some guidelines that we can follow.
Also, about there are things you should avoid, but not necessarily things you have to do.
Yes.
And the consequence can be punishment.
And the consequences can be punishment and reward. Thank you so much for that, Marlon.
So it just depends on what they do, then you determine what the consequence is.
Yes, so like, for example, if you're out with a child, if you guide them using a guided approach as to, listen, Daddy does not have enough money to purchase all of what you want, it's less likely that they're going to end up into a brat-like behavior or behaving in ways that would cause you to want to administer punishment in a public space. Because if you are guided by a budget and you know as an adult what you can and can't afford, it's a possibility. It's not a rule, it's a possibility. But then if there are no guidelines, it lends the door open for just about any kind of behavior, and then have to wing it along the way.
I'm guided by the fact that Sharon would have boxed out my 32 teeth.
I
was guided by that.
Which brings us into the next next part of the discussion about the influence of culture on disciplining or punishment, because depending on the neck of the woods you're from or your ancestors, then you are generally speaking more inclined to go along a particular path. Share with us, though, what your views are where culture and its influence on discipline or punishment.
Culture is very important, and I'm happy you mentioned that. And just listening to Marlon alone, I can recall vivid images and scenarios where I was really guided by the fact that if you behaved in a particular way, what exactly would happen without any guidance of any discussion before that, right? And I can only speak from the cultural premise of a Jamaican background specifically, and probably to a larger extent the English-speaking Caribbean, as it relates to the form of discipline and punishment and or consequences that would follow. Some now deem those cultural practices as abuse, and in some cases they were abuse, right? However, there were other cases where they were not interpreted as such and just were a means of control and getting you back in line.
But then,
and you know, part of the challenge I think parents have, especially nowadays, is that a lot of the parents would have grown up in a philosophy that children should be seen
And not heard.
and not heard, that once you talk one time, that is the end of the story, and that children mustn't question. But being a parent, I find that I have a child, for example, that he questions everything. No matter what, if you're going to tell him not to do this, then he's going to ask you
a justification.
why, right? You have to justify it, right? So how do you treat with that, Liv?
Well, I think it's twofold, because there are times when I do believe, because and I'd extend that to say that persons would use an example like that to say that your child is too forthright or too present, and you know.
Enough.
I'm trying to in Caribbean, enough and plentiful, right? But at the same time, I think they didn't raise themselves, so I think probably, I don't know whose genes that would be. Maybe it's a combination. So what I'm really saying is that there are no set ways to say, okay, you're gonna tell your child that do not speak in public, because then you are sending, or do not ask questions. You don't want to train a child to be a dummy, and yet somebody else would look at that and say, well, them not have no manners, because when I was growing up, this was what happened, and I was courteous and I was obedient and so on. But the times have changed, even though there are some core values that remain the same, and I think parents should be encouraged to adjust accordingly. And your child, and you should, the aim of disciplining and disciplining, use that word, and highlighting consequences should be with the objective of teaching your child. And in the same way that you want to be taught certain things, you don't want somebody shouting at you, yelling at you all the time when you make a mistake. But then you're an adult with a whole different set of cognitive abilities. Now, as a child, and you being the parent, you would have to make certain adjustments based on the situation.
I think, listen, a lot of this is coming from our parents. It was passed on, and I think the plantation had piece of it, where you beat the hell out of people to get them in line, and that passed down to great-grands and great-grands to grands, and everything coming right down. Now, we are at an age where I see some of that changing. There have been incidents on social media where I see where discipline, as we consider it, was being meted out to picnic, but people, their reaction, like with that lady that they dubbed Machete Mom, who was busy. I was pleased to see that as much as you had persons who say, yeah man, she will get liquor, I was like, you had others who were saying, no, conversation, the picnic never reached right here, so overnight. Now, the issue is that you're trying to grow better children who understand and speak up for themselves. And you were talking about children should be seen and not heard. We use proverbs about spare the rod and spoil the child, which in the first place, by the way, my research and so say it's not about beating picnic, because for the Hebrews the rod was not for beating, it was for guidance, like with a shepherd. So it was literally saying guide the children, don't beat the picnic, because if you don't guide them, then we spoil and all. So I'm glad we have that change now, where we don't think that you must beat the heck out of picnic, because a lot of us Jamaicans love say, well, me to get beaten and I turned out okay, but you turned out okay despite being beaten, not because you were being beaten.
Plus, I think it generally is the most ineffective form of punishment.
Oh God, man, picnic get used to lick after a while.
Right? No, but it's true, right? Even I went to a school where we used to have caning, right? And literally, you could be caned for doing something wrong. 3 detention caning. I had some guys who are on that list to be caned
Perpetually.
single week.
Perpetually.
So clearly the caning is no longer deterrent. Right.
And I think sometimes with the beating, what happens is that people not only get used to it, but the message is lost. So, and it is usually as a result of frustration from the adult who does not or feels that they are losing control. And again, that's another issue that we would need to explore.
And we certainly will. You're tuned into the Jamaican Dadz podcast. Of course, you can always participate in the conversation on Twitter using the hashtag Jamaican Dadz, and then you know where to find us as well. We mentioned it before. When we return with more meat of the matter with Dr. Olivia Rose, when does discipline become abuse? Gender roles and discipline, and so much more. You're listening and tuned in to the Jamaican Dadz podcast. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us here on the Jamaican Dadz podcast. I'm Garth. We've got Dennis, who's away. Marlon's in studio. Floyd is with us, and Dr. Olivia Rose. We're continuing our discussion about discipline and daddy. Doc, we were traveling down a particular path a while ago. We're talking about how, for example, this beating culture has really stuck with us primarily as a result of our history in slavery, our recent history, because we were kings before that. But that is something that remains to this very day. It's still on the books. Corporal punishment, if in some institutions, is still administered, even though the Ministry of Education strongly advises against it. But it continues in some spaces. But the question has to be, though, when does discipline or punishment become abuse?
Discipline and punishment can become abuse when it starts to destroy the core of the individual. Usually someone who is in a predator situation. So for example, someone who already has power versus one that is seemingly powerless. So based on that dimension alone and destroying the core of the child. For example, many persons will say, oh, I don't beat my child. But the words that you say to them are even worse than a beating. Yeah. And there are various types of abuse. And you can discipline a child by even engaging, for example, in neglect. So, okay, the child was rude for whatever reason, and your approach, your discipline is to not give them food, not to have them inside the house. And that becomes, again, in your mind, it may be, okay, I'm not physically hitting them, but that's also a type of abuse. Or when you are administering physical beating, the words that go alongside that kind of punishment.
And the beating itself.
And the beating itself, coupled with all of that, could be very abusive. And usually the words are in relation to a comparison with, unfortunately, the father.
In some cases.
Like, in some cases. You
know,
it's like your father. It is.
And I think, as a great point, abuse is not just physical, right? A lot of people have some severe emotional scars that have come from their parents and how their parents treat with them, especially with the issue of discipline and what they said to them. And, for those, you really need to stop doing this thing where we compare our children to partners who we're not happy with, or where we take out frustration with the relationship on the child. Right? 'Cause oftentimes a manifestation of the frustration, and it shouldn't happen because it scars on so many different levels. Remember, that child is developing a relationship, whether you like it or not, with the parent, right? And you are scarring that relationship and you're scarring that child. So whether it be the woman saying, you're worthless like a pooper, or them saying some things about the mother.
Yeah, man.
Right?
I've heard
your mother, all sorts of things and all sorts of things.
I've heard that already.
It just should not be done in discipline or punishment. Really.
especially because this scar has so many domino effects, and then that child who may not heal properly from that goes into a relationship, has children, and the cycle continues. So it's very important that we are mindful of the different ways, because sometimes I think people are ignorant to different types of abuse, and they think this is a great way of punishing and disciplining my child. I bet them never do this again and that kind of thing. No,
I have a
actually,
question. Like, should the partners in a relationship, in relation to discipline and punishment for the child, should they pick a side? In other words, should, for example, the man be the disciplinarian and the mother be the one that they run to? You know, is there any set approach?
I like that question, but I don't think I have a set answer for it, other than the fact that I think it should be a collaborative effort between the parents, and even if they don't agree. No, man. A collaborative effort in terms of you cannot be one partner can be administering discipline, and the other one steps in to correct in right there. But then we're assuming that people are being rational. Sometimes somebody has to step in and say, okay, enough is enough. And then that can cause a lot of other problems. So hence, you know, discuss these things prior to, you know, how do we treat with this situation. And there should be some little codes that you as partners work out, because children are very smart, extremely smart, and they'll know who they can
what
go
a weak
to.
fence.
Right.
Man on a weak fence.
No, he know. And him know too. Because he might try, the other day, he was trying to go outside. So he has a way, he comes and takes your hand when he wants to go, wherever he wants to go, and leads you there. So he was trying to lead Justin to go, but not much long come from outside. And it was not outside time again. So she wasn't doing it. And you know, this boy sat there, look on her, turn and look at me. And that's like weak fence.
How long did it take to get him outside?
No, I didn't move because just the
You got the signal.
the boss of all of us was like,
No,
it's not happening.
What works for us at home, I found, is literally what you mentioned, just the discussion. So Donette and I have a game plan. So we know what the rules are, and if you break those rules, we know what the punishment is, right? And it is consistent. So if it is that she is going to limit the tablet time, then limiting it is what is done. And when they come to me and say, Daddy, you know, say, Mommy, so and so and so, I say, all right, what did you do? Well, Daddy, I say, all right, so what's the usual thing?
What have we?
Yeah, so there's nothing to discuss here, right? So you know what is what. So they don't see me as, well, they kind of see me as a little bit of
the weak fence.
No, actually, no, Mommy had the weak fence.
Are you serious?
Yeah, Mommy had the weak fence. Because, you know, when me talk, like, to them, Mommy's the boss of everything, you know.
Yeah.
Mommy run the whole ship. You understand me? I fall in line. But when me talk, they listen and just work with what me say. You understand me? With Mommy now, them try beg it out and bawl it out. And sometimes she will just kind of, she will come to me and she say, boy, God, oh gosh, man. And then, as everybody knows, a general doesn't instruct, he suggests. So she will say to me, me feel like I can bust the youth, which is, in other words, bust the youth. So we work with that. But for us, it works smoothly. In other cases, it really does not. Are there some disciplining best practices, though?
The best practice really is a collaborative one, and I'm going to stress that one because you want to ensure that parties are communicating as to what will happen, what will not happen, and how we treat with the unexpected, right? And I think once there is a set of guidelines or some set rules, I think it's better that way, and children will also learn respect and understand that there are consequences to certain actions and that there is no blight or leeway when you fall short. I think, yes. And I think I want to add into this that children, they don't raise themselves. So I think going forward, another best practice is that parents need to work on themselves. You know, heal from your own wounds and scars, get help so that you are better able to help the wonderful human beings that he would have created.
Yeah, that's a good.
So,
That's a good
know,
point. I think. No, go man.
I was saying, and you know one thing, we have to be careful with kids where I noticed. You have parents who beat the picnic and then are there doing the hush and hug up thing. And I think it's so confusing, and I think it is toxic, and I think it teaches a child that I don't like what it teaches a child.
It's toxic and teaches a lot of negative attachment styles.
Exactly.
You're not sure what to do, how
With
to
the spirit,
receive. Love.
You're not sure.
Yeah, but it might start associating love.
Love with
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
That is, and I don't like it. That was what I was trying to say. Thank you for.
Yeah, a lot of people do it. I think one of the big pluses I've found is, again, speak to your child, explain things to your child.
Yes.
Right. I think a lot of times we discipline and punishment, punish without them getting an understanding.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's very, very important for them to understand what is happening, because you're not random. You're not just punish them for punish them's sake.
And we underestimate them.
Right. So I have found the only challenge I have now is that I find my son, he is. Because he's so creative, he's very hard to discipline because nothing gets to him for too long, right? So even when all right, listen, we're going to take away your privileges, and we're going to take, one time we'll pack up every single time. We'll pack up everything. We just hear the man in there sing, no. I said, nah, you just wasn't happy. We're like, what's happening? Like the man
Find a way around it. Yeah, find a way around it. No, and let me tell you what I think that happens to a lot of us as parents, because you want to know that your punishment is causing some amount of pain or discomfort. So when they're evolving past, okay, no tablet, fine, TV, no TV, fine, singing, no singing.
Oh no, you can't. No singing.
Right, no, but that's the point. That's why the communication has to happen prior to.
Yeah.
So if you are taking away something, it needs to have an impact. It needs to be something that they actually like and cannot do without, so that it is more effective. And again, with the guidance, teaching them from early, life is really what you make it. So if you do X, this is why that is going to be the consequence. So using consequences language more helps them a lot, especially the very smart ones, so they can also, as you said, they work it out from early. Okay, you didn't do this, well, you know what's going to happen, and you need to also remember to be consistent.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. You can tell me if this makes sense, Doc, because I don't. Marlon kind of hinted at it earlier when I talk about, me get beaten and me come out all right, you know. I say to people all the while, you have to recognize that you are not growing up your child in the same environment and with the same external influencing factors as when you were growing up, right? It's a different time.
Plus, your child is not you.
And your child is not you.
And are you really all right? Are you
And that's what I was going to ask the question. Did you really turn out all right?
Exactly.
I mean, it's just about understanding the guidelines and the limitations to administering discipline and using it as a form of teaching your child consequences from very early. And I think once we are able to have more responsible individuals, we'll hopefully have a better society.
All right, you were saying something.
Can I say, because I am determined not to use corporal punishment or anything like that with my child. I am determined, but I understand for a parent sometimes, because I have and I literally counted them. I've shouted at Judah twice, and
it must show.
Yeah, and I understand.
But why are you so determined
to not slap him? Probably because I used to get holy.
Right, so that's the point. I need you to
show
heal
that
from that.
How only in a rich story, just a rich story, yeah?
But it seems that it caused you a lot of distress and...
To shout at him?
Yes.
It did, because I was like... because his reaction... Like, him face just was so, and then him start ball, and I was like, I feel so bad,
And that's one of the things we discuss.
Yeah, the defense.
That's one of the things we'll discuss in part 2 of this conversation, when we'll be joined by clinical psychologist Candice Ray. So make sure you don't miss out on that. But Dr. Olivia Rose,
Leicester City.
Thank you for having me. Congrats to Liverpool.
I feel like like you made a psychological choice to choose this.
No, I did. It's a combination of the two, but I actually attended the University of Leicester. Yes.
And she met Jamie Vardy. No, she didn't.
Actually, I did, and West Morgan.
There you go. So it wasn't really psychology. All right, you're listening to and tuned into the Jamaican Dadz podcast. Follow us all over on social media and YouTube at Jamaican Dadz. Use the hashtag Jamaican Dadz. We're going to take a break and come back with Fresh to Death. Thanks for staying with us here on the Jamaican Dadz podcast. Garth, Marlon, and Floyd with you for this one. Thanks again to Dr. Olivia Rose for that really good discussion in the meat of the matter, discipline and daddy. Really cool. But now it's time for Fresh to Death. Fresh to Death. And we had mentioned at the top of the program and just before that today's Fresh to Death is all about basic hair care, simple things. We're not complicated. We're just we're not even talking about if you have locks right now. We're not go down the road there just yet. I just basic hair care, right? For some people it's easier than others. Marlon, one such example.
Very basic.
Very basic. Even though he sports a beard, which is not so basic in terms of care. But we'll get to beard care because that's a separate. Man, that's a whole different game on its own. But let's talk about some basic hair care tips. First and foremost, gentlemen, washing the hair every time in the beard?
Come on, God.
No,
Come on, God.
Come on. I'm sorry. For you, let me rephrase the question for you.
I just bathe.
Does your head get wet every time?
I just bathe. Hold on. I'm a countryman,
Yes,
we believe in a proper
I
scrub,
don't wash my hair every time.
You don't wash your hair every time.
Every other day.
When you choose to wash your hair, which is every other day as you just mentioned, do you use shampoo or you just use a regular soap that you use?
No, man. Shampoo. Yeah, my thing kind of special.
Remember, because of this, you said the skin and extra dry skin.
So I use specialized shampoo normally, anti-dandruff shampoo, basic. But then I have gone up to things like medicated shampoo, which is something we can talk about. All right.
So most shampoos that you might grab off the shelf contain what they call SLS, or sodium lauryl sulfate. It's a detergent that cleans the hair, but unfortunately, it tends to strip away natural oils from your scalp. And of course, the natural oils protect your hair, right? And protect your skin as well. So that means overexposure to SLS is going to, day in, day out, is going to ruin your scalp at some point in time. So stop shampooing every single time, gentlemen. Once or twice, maybe 3 times a week should be good, right? So don't shampoo as much. Moisturize your hair every day though. Do you take care of the whole thing?
Put on, come on,
cocoa butter and shea
look
butter?
how my head was shining in the previous videos.
Yeah.
Shine!
That could just be natural oils.
Well, you see, that's it, you encourage the natural oils, but sometimes you have to just go so and if you're gonna do like beach and be out, the SPF protection and them things.
Right. So you know moisturize your hair every day? Yeah,
no moisturize, none at all.
You just when you shampoo and you just brush and keep it moving.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just wow.
We use some conditioner. We use some conditioner, so I don't just shampoo alone. Right?
As a countryman, you're not a Vaseline?
No, we don't deal with that. No, this kind of thing. Yeah, but I believe in conditioner because I do. Just growing up, you realize that shampoo alone can't dry out your hair.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, even if you don't shampoo or when you don't shampoo, still you can just put in like a rinse out conditioner just to make sure so you get in that level of, you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm just saying. And that's not just for Floyd, that's for you as well, gentlemen. And finally, choose a low maintenance style. You don't want to put your hair under too much pressure. So if you are
tell the rest of them.
No. If you are grow it,
yeah.
Right? But the constant having to always undo locks or undo like cornrows and rope twists and them something that you want to give your hair a chance to either do something or don't do something, right? So
Yo, do you want you here, sir?
Yeah, exactly.
I swear God, I said, do you want you here?
I just feel here
Grow
now,
it,
bro.
cut it,
Yeah, man.
put in too bad color.
Exactly.
No,
Pat. So remember Pat?
Yo, listen, let me show you the high school picture them in a shit. It's one thing.
Or you
One
just
time
have
with the kid,
palm
yeah,
in
that's-
your head now.
yeah,
That's
One never
one
last too
big
long.
part.
Anyway.
Anyhow, we'll share some more basic hair care tips in our
Gotta
next
talk about the beard.
Yes, indeed, in our next installment of Fresh to Death. But that's it for now. Thank you so much. That was Fresh to Death. All right, so we've got one final short feature just before we close the program today. It's called Dad Try This, where we share, a little life hack to help you at home or wherever life takes you as a man, but more specifically as a father. This one today is about smart laundry tips, all right? Now, washing clothes is a necessary evil. We don't always like to do it, but it's tough to do. But once you're washing your clothes, it means you're also ruining them. You're damaging them.
Yeah.
There are ways to clean suits, especially, and we all wear suits from
dry
different,
clean,
different
straight,
points in
me
time,
never bother.
right?
Me never bother.
And not all of us can afford to do that, but I'm not sure if all of us can afford to do what I'm about to recommend either. Because the clothes that you wear, like for example, like your jackets and stuff like that, you don't have to wash them every single time, right? But you can go to the dry cleaner, right? And you can clean them at home too, depending on the level of soil that you may get on them, right? But there are special agents that you can purchase as well to help you keep your suits clean. But let's talk a little bit more about like some of our dress shirts, right? And those you can put in a bag they call a delicates bag, right? And it's a special bag.
That sound like underwear. Delicate.
Well,
Special about what?
yeah, so it's a special bag that you can purchase, right? And you put your washing machine, hopefully you have a washing machine. Oh Lord, it can help if you don't have a washing machine. But if you have a washing machine, you put it on the delicate cycle and you put it in the delicates bag. You use a little less soap, little less detergent, and you can put an extra, just an extra tubes of
Bleach?
No, no, wrong answer.
Marlon is washing thing.
We can
No, but he was doing something different. So I said,
fabric softener is what I was
That's
going
what I was
to
going
say.
to, yes.
Right, so a little more softener, right? In the wash cycle to ensure that your dress shirts don't get wrecked. What I will also say is make sure say when you wear the dress shirt them go out, you save it for some special occasions rather than just your random. Me I do roll down.
And since
No, my dress shirts are for work.
clothes care and
Generally.
suits and those things, a steam iron,
That's
right?
yes.
As in not the regular iron,
Right.
Right. They have some
Steamers, yeah.
The steamers I have found is really good.
Yes.
So it cut down how much time you need to dry clean your suit. You just come in and you just steam it very easy, very quick. I really found it during COVID because I had my home protocol required me to steam my suits on entry.
Yeah.
So,
remember who?
yeah. So but it works. It's really good.
Yes,
Really good.
absolutely.
And
So if
take,
you-
and man them, if you not buy a suit, get suit separate. Because we tend to wear our pants, like we wear our pants more than the jacket itself. So it's when you get your jacket suit, get an exact copy of the pants, make for wear separately. So don't wear your suit pants around the place.
very good.
Just side note.
Do any of you have a dryer at home?
Yeah,
All right. Do you fancy your clothes are shrink?
That's what I've been telling Justine. That's not me I tell. Come and put on the jersey this morning and me I say.
It's the dryer. It's the dryer. It's the dryer. I know. If any of your clothes though, Marlon, I'm going to help you here.
Jersey no shrink.
If you find that your jerseys or any other clothes that you wear shrink because you use them in a dryer, all you've got to do, you can rehabilitate them in warm water. Soak them in warm water or hot water with hair conditioner. Yes. Hot water, hair conditioner. Leave them for 5
Where
minutes.
me go find that?
Well,
Hair
hot water?
conditioner.
Hair conditioner? Oh,
just-
you know,
just-
pharmacy. A pharmacy, you know, supermarket, you know, these places. Leave them for 5 minutes and then gently stretch them back to the right size.
Well, the right size may have changed.
In fact, stretching them back might just be stretching them.
So save your clothes by stealing them, using a dry cleaner, using a delicates bag, and if they've shrunk because of a dryer, then feel free to use hot water, soak them in hot water and air conditioner for 5 minutes, and then you gently stretch them back to where they originally were. You can thank me later. You're welcome. That's it for Dad, try this. All right, listen. Gentlemen, we're at the end of the podcast for the day.
Yeah.
So
That was good.
We've done another one, right?
Yeah.
We're going to pick up on the meat of the matter with Candace Ray in the next episode as we discuss Daddy and Discipline Part 2, right? So make sure that you join with us for that. You can find us on Instagram, where?
At Jamaican Dadz, that is Dadz with a Z.
And Facebook.
A Jamaican Dadz.
Yeah.
With a
Yes,
Z.
with a Z.
Yeah.
And on YouTube, Jamaican
Jamaican
Dadz
Dadz with a Z.
So,
Please, subscribe.
Yes.
YouTube,
Subscribe,
make
yeah.
sure you subscribe and like and share.
Check in. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, man.
We want to hear from you as well, so please send us your emails with your suggestions and questions, etc. To JamaicanDadsPodcast@gmail.com. All right, so make sure we hear from you. We really want to hear from you. Big up to everybody who support the show. Thanks to our friends at Sagicor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, Alicia.
Sagicor,
Welcome.
Yeah.
Big up Just Create.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Making
yeah.
us look so good and sound so good as well. So thanks so much.
Look at that. Sponsors and we just started.
Yeah, we like this.
We like that stuff. All right, so keep the discussion going on Twitter with the hashtag Jamaican Dad. So, I'm Garth.
I'm Marlon.
Always Floyd.
We're Jamaican
Dads.
That's right.
All
Until next
right.
time, stay safe and support a father wherever you can.